So on January 17th is the next round of protests in honor of John Lewis, who I love, adore, feel inspired by. And part of me doesn't want to go. I'm feeling resistant. I want to go. But I'm not even I'm not right now one of the targeted groups, but it feels hard. And I was talking to a friend today, and she said, and she's also white, but Jewish, but anyway, she's saying, I'm just trying to survive in my life. Like, I don't really have any, I went to a few protests and that's about all I can handle. And I just worry if we don't have more people taking action steps in this movement, that none of us are going to survive.
So we had an earlier conversation and we talked about how the last protest, which was
June
14th, where 5 million people, biggest protest ever in the United States.
Yeah, and phenomenally well executed.
And you had this question, you had this observation, which I don't think is what you fully believe, but these words came out of your mouth.
Okay.
And nothing happened. There was that protest, and then nothing happened. So,
well, actually, a whole bunch of really bad stuff happened.
Right. So not only
right after.
So not only did we not make progress, a lot of shitty things happened.
That was my emotional reaction.
Sure. But still, you're sort of left with this question of you're tired, you're fatigued, you're not seeing obvious progress and change. There are always questions about what do protests get us?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. What's the point? Why should I bother? If I have 3 free hours in my week, why should I spend 2 of them at a protest?
Right. And that's also in the context of you, I mean, you're an activist, right? You do a lot of things. You know, you're, ironically perhaps, part of Indivisible Ottawa, so you're helping organize protests. You know, you're doing other kinds of outreach. You're certainly in contact with the U.S. legislators, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's stuff that you're doing, and
you do some of that too.
I do some of that too, but honestly, you're the one that's sort of like that I see sort of like facing this fatigue.
You don't feel fatigued,
and not in the same way. Yeah. No, and I think that where I do feel it is just that it's a very long haul.
Sure.
I think that I'm less susceptible to that feeling that, you know, oh shit, we just did this thing and nothing happened, or we did this thing and things are just terrible and getting worse, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, so what do you need? Do you need to get okay with protesting? Do you need to figure out a way to have stamina and resilience just to stay in the fight in general? Like, what's your need? Because I know that ultimately, like, that's what you want, right?
I mean, my relationship, because my Substack is Writers in Relationships, so it's all about how do we create these healthy relationships to whatever we're relating to and nurture something that's generative and life-giving, right? That's my goal anyway. And this is a sort of death-giving period of history. So we're sort of swimming upstream with these very contradictory dynamics in place. And I know that it's going to take a lot of people, a lot of energy, and a lot of action to get to where we need to get to stop this thing. And so I don't know. So as an individual in relationship with democracy, I think, what are the things that I need to do that are the most useful to the movement that also are not exhausting and depleting me? And those are two different questions.
Yeah, they are two different questions.
And is it, I wanted to encourage people to come out and protest on the 17th. That's why I had another interview I was going to throw up this week, and I changed it because I feel like, the 17th, this is really important, and this is the next organized day. John Lewis, Good Trouble, and Indivisible Ottawa is doing an action. There's, I think, at least 1,200 actions that are planned, and I think it is important, and yet I also feel that resistance, and if I'm feeling it, other people are feeling it. So I just, instead of just posting some Pollyanna essay about, let's go get out. I just thought, let's have a conversation and just explore that exhaustion a little bit. And I don't know, maybe there's an answer to it.
I mean, I think it's probably one of those things where there's a bunch of answers, right? Like, and that's sort of the dissatisfying part.
Right.
I always want, like, I need to do A. Not A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. A. And if I do A hard enough right now, shit's going to be taken care of, right?
That's not how this thing works.
It's not how this thing works. And so, like, I have a few things going on in my head. So one is this idea of broadly, how does change happen, right? And I think that for me, like, I can use,
how does social change happen?
How does social change happen? And I can use protest as sort of like a straw person, straw man, straw situation, as a stand-in for that in general, right? And what I'm getting at is this, right? Like, I think it's very rare where, Saturday, 1 million people march, and then Monday shit's different, right? Course, that's not how it works.
No, I know.
But I do think that a few things happen with protest in particular, right? I think, one is that I don't know what cause and effect is. I don't know if protest causes change or if, protest is a result of the change in consciousness of the population, right? So I don't know what's pushing what. But I do know that I feel energized when I'm around people. I know that for me, like being in recovery, you know what I mean? One of the most important parts of recovery is that I go to this particular place, with all these people who are having the same experience as me. Right? And I can look them in the eye and say, yes, you get it, me too, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that, on some just sort of like energetic level, for the participants, I think something important happens.
Yeah. It transforms us.
It transforms us.
It feeds us in some way, right?
I do think that it makes visible that there are people who are concerned about whatever they're concerned about.
Yeah.
And other people get to witness that and say, also me too, right? Like, also me too. And also, look at those people taking some action. I can also take some action, right? But those are things we can't measure.
Yeah.
Those are hard to measure.
Yeah.
And then there's the other things of like, eventually the Vietnam War ended. And there were a bunch of things that led to the Vietnam War ending, not the least of which the U.S. losing its ass, but like also a bunch of protests. And a bunch of protests changed the opinion of the country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It made that proposition less sustainable
and we
for
were
the people who wanted it.
We were just watching that Bulwark report where they were talking about the shift in views on immigration.
Right. So
we're never going to know if that June 4th thing hadn't happened. Would that shift have happened anyway? We're never going to know that.
We don't know that.
But it has to be. It has to help.
And I most of these things I liken to voting, right?
Yeah.
My individual vote doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't elect or unelect people, but like my engagement in the process, my vote with millions of other votes makes a difference.
Right.
And
you're deciding to vote and talk about it makes voting puts voting in the consciousness of the people around you, right?
And so here's the thing, right? This is my opinion, my thoughts about it, right? Like, this is how I feel sane about this stuff. Protest is one thing. Sending letters to Bernie is another thing. Like, there are all these things that we're doing, and they all need to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even, by the way, phoning, I'm just saying this for people watching. My legislators are in Vermont, and they're Democratic, and they're very much pro most of the time. Peter Welch occasionally not, but most of the time.
They don't need our direction.
They don't need our direction.
But what do they need, Gail?
Well, they need thanks and support, but sometimes they tally every single call that comes in. So if they have 10 people calling on an issue versus 1,000, it's going to put a different kind of fire under their
They have limited
butts.
Resources. It's going to help them decide where to put their energies.
Yeah, so it is important to call regularly.
So I think this is also another thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that my role has to be engagement at a sustainable level.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I have to be engaged at a sustainable level. And the truth is that a million things do need to be done. And I can't do a million things.
Right.
You know,
you can do one or two.
I can do one or two or 6 or 7, you know, but I need to do those. I also need to do joy.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's an either or. I mean, the protest on the 14th was really
fun,
joyful.
right, yeah.
It was fun.
But a lot of this stuff feels like a grind sometimes.
Yeah.
And even just being in this, right? Like, even being just in this situation.
And I think that friend of mine who said, I'm just trying to survive. I mean, I think that's a lot of, pulling back and doing less, I think is a really valid impulse. And I think it's a dangerous one. I actually think pulling back from news is important.
Yeah.
And going toward
action,
sustainable action.
Yeah.
And it's when I'm in my best state of mind around this stuff, I'm spending maybe 15 or 20 minutes a day reading. I'm absorbing good information, not doom scrolling. Going to Heather Cox Richardson, Jay Quo, my
trusted
resources. Stop reading, live my life, and then do my 15, 20 minute, half hour, 1 hour, whatever. Do my one thing a day, because I'm trying to do one thing during the week, and that's it. That's when I'm at my best, and I'm not feeling as freaked out.
Yeah. I apologize for this. I'm about to use a sports analogy.
Oh, no. Sports metaphors are welcome.
Okay. I mean,
Writers,
it's just this.
Just plug your ears.
I mean, the game isn't over until the game is over.
Yeah.
Right?
We're never going to know.
We played pickleball today, right? In the second game we played, the lead changed 4 times.
Who won? I think you won.
I think I won, but the lead changed 4 times.
Yeah.
And in this, we're gonna have win. We're gonna score, and then they're gonna score, and then they're gonna score, then we're gonna score.
They've been scoring a lot.
Sure they have, but that's the nature of it.
Yeah.
If wars, you know what I mean.
This feels like a war to me.
Yeah.
This feels like a war.
Think about how World War II played out when both sides had battles that they won. That's the fact of it, and
we're Americans we're not used to that. We don't know how to be in a war.
Well, we
at
are.
Least our generation.
But we can't. We've got to have a longish view about this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't be devastated. I can't. Although it's devastating stuff, I cannot afford to be devastated every time they get a win. They are going to get wins. They're in power right now. They're going to do horrible stuff. And in fact, the more that they're threatened, the more horrible stuff that they're going to do. We're going to see more and more horrific things. That doesn't mean, the scale of their horror does not mean that they're winning.
That's really hard for me.
Yeah.
To not slip into that.
But I really believe that. I really believe that the scale of their horror is not an indication of their winning or their success. So, that's part of what I have to manage internally. You know what I mean? I've got to manage my relationship to that stuff. I've got to remind myself to take that longer view.
Right.
And, and remember things like they're kind of ridiculously incompetent.
Yeah.
They are self-centered and eating each other.
Yeah.
The same things that make them act terribly towards us makes them act terribly towards each other.
Yeah.
They don't have the skills to collaborate.
No, that's true. When I think about that, that's where I feel like that, and the fact that none of it's truth-based.
Right.
At all. And
so, they have the advantage of working outside of an ethical code, right? Yeah. They have the advantage of not trying to work with consensus. They're each trying to be autocrats in their own ways, right? And in the short term, those can be advantages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're also ultimately self-destructive.
Always.
Yeah. And the terrifying thing for me, the thing that I actually do struggle with is this worry about how long it's going to take. And
that's why I feel very much like, come on, y'all, we have to, like, big numbers. We need big numbers of people getting in. Like, we need as many of us as possible. That's going to be the thing that's going to make it more likely to head it off at the pass, which I don't even know what that looks like, but
I think this idea of like sustainable action, choosing what's sustainable for each of us individually is important. I also think that like I've got to understand that quite often what I think is going to be effortful toil is actually energizing.
Yes. That's,
you know what I mean?
That's the best point. That's totally a great point.
When I'm actually being active, when I'm actually showing up, and I'm actually around, 20, 200, 2,000, 20,000 other people saying fuck no or hell yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it's very different than
it's very
looking
different
at
than
Facebook. Right?
Yeah, that's tiring.
Yeah.
Right?
With all the bad stuff and nothing and no humans around to counter that with this sort of nurturing, life affirming kind of movement.
Yeah. There's times where I need to step back. I need to step back and experience love and joy. And rest, real rest.
I think it's a similar thing as like with social anxiety. When you feed social anxiety, it makes you more socially anxious.
Yeah.
But when you actually go and you put yourself in a gentle
good
social,
momentum.
Then it starts to break it apart. Yeah, that's a really good reminder. So yes, okay. Yes to the protest. Do it with friends.
Yeah.
Do it with people. Do it with your kids. Make funny signs, puppets, like...
Take your dogs.
Oh, there were so many dogs last time. Alexi met this, I don't know, it was a Great Dane. It was like almost as tall as its owner. And he had this long conversation. I met this other woman and we ended up like connecting on LinkedIn. And there was dogs, definite plus.
Dye your hair.
Dye your hair. People talk to you when you dye.
Starts conversations.
Definitely starts conversations. Yeah, and I think to use play to again energize ourselves and to pull people into again a life nurturing, life cultivating.
It's a protest, but it's a party too.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to show up at the Republican Party because Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
You don't want to be at the Stephen Miller Party, right? But come on.
Yeah, I mean, some of the video footage from
the
Los
AOC
Angeles,
party?
And
you want to be at that party
for sure. And it's hard to feel like that when they're constructing these concentration camps, lack of a better phrase, and knowing that all those people are suffering, people who don't deserve to be there. I don't think it's a civil offense, and they haven't had due. It's awful. And we have to do it. And this is the other thing. A friend of mine was talking about how her best friend is Black, and she was saying, "I can't do this. This is a white problem.
Mm-hmm.
It is a white problem. It's created by white people for white people." And I mean, I'm a little on the edge being Jewish, but I pass. And the Black people are exhausted. The immigrant, like people who have been under the thumb of this for generations, cannot be the ones expected to carry the weight. We have to do it.
Yeah.
But again, if we think of it as a drag, it isn't a drag. The drag is reading about it and thinking about it and stressing about it.
The reality is a drag.
The reality is terrible.
Being able to respond to it is energizing.
Yes, that's it. That's the point. Yeah. That's the point. That's the point. So if you get out and protest, if for some reason you're not able to, there's online virtual protests, and you can make a sign, donate your sign to your local Indivisible chapter. And I do one little action a day. Sometimes it's just looking up local places to buy so I can avoid Amazon, and one little thing a day, one phone call. It's good. Our relationship to democracy matters. And I did Aaron's hair. Thanks.
Thanks.
Darling.